Some sort of trap.
Well, obviously it's a trap. And the bait is a cipher machine. Brand new lector. You're booked on the 8:30 plane in the morning. If there's any chance of us getting a lector, we simply must look into it.
Welcome to Istanbul.
Lamb thinks I'm wasting my time here.
And so do I. If you really want my advice, you should spend a few pleasant days with us here in Istanbul, and then...
Let his death be a particularly unpleasant and humiliating one.
What are you after? The girl on the left?
How's it going out there, YouTubers and all social media land people? Oh yeah, welcome to an all-new video review, or as we like to call it, a movie review here in the YouTube land. Haha, but you already knew that. I don't know why I said that. Anyways, so here we are, we're going to be continuing our James Bond-a-thon here. I'll be doing a review of the second film in the James Bond Eon series. With you very shortly here, and it's going to be really cool. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to talk about this film, because it was a really interesting view and watch, most definitely, so we're going to get right into that. But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so to miss out on any of this cool and amazing film reviews, or any type of videos I do on my channel. And as always, people, let's get right into this. Welcome one and all to an all-new movie review. How's it going out there, guys? Yeah, welcome to another amazing James Bond-a-thon movie review. So this is the second film in the James Bond movie review-a-thon that I'm doing for all the James Bond films that were created by Eon. Now, the second film happens to be the film titled as From Russia with Love. Oh yeah, From Russia with Love. So this came out in 1963, but did not get released over here in the United States until 1964, actually. So both the two first James Bond films, I don't know if you knew this, but both of them were created the year that they came out, so 62 and 63, but both of them didn't get released in the United States until the following year. So I thought that was kind of interesting that it took them that long with the first two James Bond films to actually get them over here in the United States versus any of the other films that they made for Eon and so forth in the James Bond franchise, which I thought was kind of interesting. Now, From Russia with Love, like I said, as we get into it, it's going to be an interesting talk about, because definitely this film, you can see that the director definitely had more, ideas, and you could see his wheels turning in what he wanted to do with this film versus the first one, and kind of had a better knowledge of what he wanted to do, too, with this film. Now, of course, this was directed none other by the same guy that directed Dr. No, Mr. Terence Young. Oh, yeah! So Terence Young, like I said, has directed Dr. No, and also has directed a couple other of the James Bond films as well. But he's also directed a whole bunch of other films over the years. A lot of European films and so forth and stuff like that. Now, I really haven't seen any of his other films, but I do know of two that seemed interesting and I've heard good things about. Now, the first film happens to be Christopher Lee's acting debut film, which came out in it was either the late 40s or early 50s, if I remember correctly. And it's a movie that's called Corridor of Mirrors. Oh, yeah, Corridor of Mirrors. Ooh. Now, this film, I've heard a lot of great things about. I heard that, Christopher Lee was amazing in his acting debut, and that this was just a really good kind of, horror, suspense, thriller type of film that really embodied, really good European horror type of films. And also from the trailer itself, it just looks like it was really well done, too, and a really fun film. So eventually down the road, I'll definitely have to check this out, see how Terence Young did as a director of this film. But from what I can see and have read, he actually did a really amazing job with this film, and actually it's one of his biggest films, and also one of the best, one of the films that he gets the most recognition for. So I'm really looking forward to checking that out eventually. Now, the second film that he directed that is also another film I have not seen, but have heard good things about, is a movie that is based on a real battle in World War II over in Europe that is called Valley of the Eagles. Oh yeah, Valley of the Eagles, which that's its United States title. I think over in Europe it actually called The Valley of Eagles or something like that. I know there was a different title. But at the same time, this film I've heard really good things about too, and said that it's very accurate to what really happened during this actual battle that happened over in Europe back during World War II. But when it comes to directing from Rush for Love, like I was saying before, he definitely had a better direction in this film. He definitely had a better idea of how he wanted to bring it together. He gave us a little bit more action. He gave us a lot more story. And definitely, you know, brought us to a different level with this film versus Dr. No. And I was really impressed with that direction that he took it in. Very well directed, not bad by Terence Young, and hopefully I'll get to check out some more of his films and see what else he's directed. That might be a decent film. So this movie has a really great all-star cast, which actually I did not realize one of these actors was in this film until I had actually watched it and noticed that he was in it. And I was like really surprised. I was like, huh. You know, I have only seen him in a few other films, and I saw him in this, and I'm like, I wonder what he's going to do with this, because pretty much the other films I've seen him in, he was pretty decent, and once again, he did not prove me wrong here. He was amazing again in this film. Now, to start off, of course, this ensemble great cast is none other than James Bond himself, Mr. Sean Connery! Oh yeah! Or as Sean Connery would say, good to see you, summer. You know, great Sean Connery, you know. Oh my god, those great sketches on SNL about him were just so superb. Always him and Alex Trebek. You know, so hilarious, and that accent of his was just an awesome Scottish accent. It was always a pleasure to listen to him talk. I always loved it. And just how he, you know, some of the scenes and movies when he'd be like, you know, Junior, how you doing, Junior? You know, and stuff like that, like in the Indiana Jones film, Last Crusade and stuff like that, and just, you know, what he came up with. That's not what your mother said last night, Trebek. You know, such a great guy. So funny, too. Whenever he did actually, like, did a little bit of comedy in his roles, were always on point perfection, too, I thought. But, you know, with this film, you know, this is Sean Connery's second outing for playing James Bond, and you could definitely tell that he had more of a knowledge for where he wanted to go with the character too as well. And definitely I felt that he was a little bit more into character with James Bond, and also the fact that they allowed him to just talk with his normal accent was on point a lot better too, versus making him try to have no accent at all. And I just thought that was a lot better too. Now, a couple films I really enjoyed that are another Sean Connery films that I've seen over the years that I think are just really fun films. One of them is a really small role, but still is a very amazing role, even though it's like such a small part in a film. And then, of course, the other one, he just plays the main, you know, man himself in the film. It just is really awesome. Now, the first film that I'm going to talk about is the 1990 film that really kind of, you know, made him a household name again, besides being James Bond. And that, of course, is a film called The Hunt for the Red October. Oh yeah, this is a great submarine movie / kind of like action drama film starring Alec Baldwin. And Sean Connery's presence in this film was just really on point and really well done. I really enjoyed his character. I thought he played a really good bad guy, and at the same time kind of, you know, main antagonist, but also kind of a little bit of a hero too at the same point in the film. Because what he was trying to do, there's a point to it. Even though he's going about it the wrong way, he has a good heart, and he's trying to do what's right for, you know, the Soviet Union. But at the same time, like I said, he's going in the wrong direction, and he has to be stopped. And I just thought that, you know, Sean did a really amazing job of bringing that character to life and giving us a really outstanding performance in that film. If you haven't seen Hunt for October, definitely check it out, people. He's really good in it. Now, the second film that I'm going to be talking about is a 1980s film that is directed none other by one of the great Monty Python guys himself. And this film just has a really amazing ensemble cast, great, amazing ideas, and just a really great kind of like mythical space sci-fi feeling to it, which, you know, is this director's beautiful passion and how he makes his thing, Terry Gilliam. And this movie, I just think, doesn't get enough attention for Sean Connery's small role. And that, of course, is a film called Time Bandits. Oh yeah, Time Bandits, people. Oh, such an amazing film by Terry Gilliam. Hands down, great film. Really awesome, really well done. It's a really interesting film too as well. That has all those Monty Python isms to it, but at the same time has some great acting throughout the film. Like I was saying, Sean Connery's portion in the film is on point, amazing. I love him as that king character. I think he really rocks as the character. I love his interaction with the other actors in the film, and just how it kind of goes along with the story, and just really brought a great performance by Sean. And I don't think he gets enough credit for how good of a small portion role that was, but still the performance was on point. Really enjoyable. If you haven't seen Time Bandits, definitely check it out, people. It's worth the watch. Now, like I was saying, when it comes to his performance in From Russia with Love, once again, like I said, I could see the wheels turning in his head, bringing James Bond even more to life, and kind of he felt more comfortable with the character, I felt. And he just brought it more and more, and gave us this really great performance that, was overwhelmed by too long of a story, I feel. There was definitely a lot of filler scenes that I just feel were inconsistent with the storyline and didn't really help the film, and actually made it kind of boring. And at the same time, I just thought that Sean did an amazing job still with the performance, and I really enjoyed him as James Bond in this film. Really on point acting, and really great at this character. If you haven't seen From Russia with Love yet, and you're a huge Sean Connery fan, definitely check out his performance. He was spot on. So that brings me to the second person I'd like to talk about that's in this film. And that is none other than the main love interest of James Bond in the film, Miss Daniela Bianchi. Oh yeah! Gorgeous, gorgeous. Amazing actress in this film, I thought. I thought she did a really good job. I thought she played opposite of Sean Connery very well in the film, and brought a really great elegance to the film. Now, Daniela has been in a ton of Italian and French movies over the years. She really hasn't done a lot of English films, because unfortunately, she has such a thick accent, so a lot of the time, if they had her in English, they dubbed her voiceover because her accent was just too thick, they said. And unfortunately, in From Russia with Love, her accent actually, or her voiceover, is actually another actress doing her voice in the film, which I thought was kind of an interesting factoid that I did not realize as I was watching the film. Now, a couple films that I have heard of that she was in that were English films was none other than a film that came out, it was, believe in the 60s, early till mid-60s, I believe, and is a interesting titled film, I felt, that just was on point, the name, and I just thought it was kind of interesting that they decided to make this kind of spoof film. And then, of course, the film called OK Connery. Oh yeah, OK Connery. Which is actually a spoof of a James Bond film, along with, guess this, the guy that plays James Bond in the film is actually Sean Connery's real brother, Neil Connery, which I thought was a really cool thing too. I was like, that's interesting that she plays the love interest of both Neil Connery and Sean Connery. That's really awesome. But this, I heard, is a really fun film, and is another one, unfortunately, her voice was dubbed in. But at the same time, it's one of those great kind of spoofs, kind of like Casino Royale that was made in the 60s. With Peter Sellers, is along the same lines as that, as it's supposed to be a James Bond film, but with a lot of comedy. And I heard that Daniela did a really good job in it, and was a really great performance in it. So I'm really looking forward to maybe eventually checking this film out to see what it's all about. So that brings me to the second film she was in, that's also another English film that unfortunately I haven't seen. Now this one was also another English dubbed film that was kind of like a spoof comedy film, but at the same time, like, a little bit of a thriller suspense type of deal too as well. And then of course the film called Special Mission Lady Chaplin. Oh yeah. So this is another one that's kind of like a spy thriller type of film that she did. Not much about it, I know, except for that it's kind of like a suspense thriller comedy a little bit that stars her, and it was English produced, and that also just kind of was considered a kind of a hit over, overseas. And then when it came over to the United States, it actually was kind of considered a decent film. But other than that, I don't know much about it, but still, I've heard great things about her performance in it, and that she did a really fun and amazing job in the film. So definitely looking forward to maybe checking that one out eventually too, in time coming, and seeing what that one's all about too as well, just to see what else Daniela had to show for her acting, because she actually ended up retiring from acting after she married her husband. So I thought that was interesting that she really hasn't done anything in recent years for the last, I would say, almost 40, almost 50 years. So that's too bad, but at the same time, she was very timeless as this character. She did a good job. She worked well with what she had and really added a great, an awesome characterization to this character, and was just a really good love interest of James Bond in this film. So that brings me to the final actor I'm going to talk about that was in From Russia with Love. And that is none other than Quint himself, Mr. Robert Shaw. Oh yeah, Robert Shaw. I see you brought the rubbers, Chiefy. Pretty good, Robert Shaw. He was an amazing actor. Unfortunately, he just wasn't that great of a person in real life. Unfortunately, I've heard a lot of stories, especially the ones from Richard Dreyfuss when he worked with him. And but still, he was an amazing actor. He always was on point in his films. He was awesome in The Sting. And most everything I've ever seen him in, he always was really amazing and did a really excellent job. Now, a couple of films I really enjoyed him and think are two of his best films is none other, of course, his best one from 1975, of course, is Jaws. Oh yeah, Jaws. I love him as Quint. He was so amazing as that character. Worked so well throughout the movie. Gave an amazing performance, especially his Indianapolis speech during that, halfway through the film, and he's talking about, the Indianapolis sinking in the water and the sharks attacked them and stuff like that. That was just such an on-point, amazing, read for that scene where it was completely ad-libbed, which was amazing, and he just really, you felt that was in the script. That's how amazing he was at that particular scene. And it just was a really fun scene, too, because you can see what it would be like to have to deal with that and be in, World War II and stuff like that, and it just was a really well-done scene. And throughout the whole film, I just thought Robert Shaw did an amazing job as the character and really brought it to life and gave us a really good performance. Now, the second film that he was in that I really enjoyed and thought he was a really great villain in was another film that came out in the 70s and had a sequel, or not a sequel, but a remake made in the early 2000s with John Travolta and Denzel Washington. And that, of course, the film called The Taking of Pelham 123. Oh, yeah. Such a great movie. Great all-star cast in it. From Walter Matthau to Robert Shaw, Martin Balsam. It's just a really fun, amazing, action-packed thriller film that just really was ahead of its time. And Robert Shaw plays a great villain like he does in From Russia with Love, and just is on point with his characterization. And just gives us a really intense and very, cynical and very cerebral bad guy character that you can always see the wheels are turning to come up with his next plan. And I just thought that Robert Shaw did a great job of bringing that to life on the screen. If you haven't seen Taking of Pelham 123, definitely check it out, people. It's worth the watch. Now, when it comes to his performance in From Russia with Love, hands down, he was amazing, the villain. And the best part was he very rarely had to say anything in the film. Like, he has very little lines throughout this whole film, and he was probably the best part about this film. And he just really, hands down, gave this such great performance just through his expressions and being this villain. And I just thought that he was the best part of this film. I really enjoyed it, and I kept watching because of his performance. Because he just was hands down so good at what he did. And I thought he really brought to life this character. And what, maybe you never know what a secret agent bad guy might be like in, real life if there's these types of, people. Because he just hands down brought it to life and gave us amazing performance. Really accurate and really just on point evil too at the same time. Really amazing performance. If you haven't seen From Russia with Love for Robert Shaw and you're a Robert Shaw fan, definitely check it out, people. His performance is on point. So what is From Russia with Love about? Basically, the plot of the film is this time James Bond, once again, is being called into the field to basically take down a operation that's going on through Spectra. And he ends up going along and, comes across Daniela Bianchi's character in the film, and they kind of create a bond to try to stop Spectre, and basically about James Bond trying to save the world again and stopping Spectre and what they're trying to do and causing like World War, III basically, or World War II, or World War III actually, or just some sort of war between people, by the Russians. And it's just a really interesting concept. But like I was saying before, this movie is hands down very boring. I found it very boring majority of the film because there was so much fillers that I just thought were so inconsistent and unnecessary to the plot and to get to where they needed to. And I just thought that it was the runtime itself, it wasn't fast-paced going along throughout the whole film. There's a lot of bland spots throughout it, and I was really disappointed because I've heard a lot of great things about this film, and I just don't think it was as great as the hype was given to it. I give this one 3 golden movie boxes out of 10. Definitely better than Dr. No, but still I think it wasn't anything that great or of great value. But do highly recommend checking it out just to see Sean Connery and Robert Shaw's performances, and also just to say that you've seen all the James Bond films. So that's it for this movie review, guys. Always thank you for watching, thank you for liking, and also thank you for subscribing. And if it's your first time here, don't forget to check out any of my older newer content that I might put out. And also check out my links down below for either my Patreon or the Great Horror Pack. And the Patreon page where you can find some awesome bloopers and my merchandise and all that kind of cool stuff. So definitely check that out, people. It's really awesome. And as always, people, I'll catch you in the next one.